Welcome back, Wayne Carey, to the Grand Final Vidcast, and we thought this was going to be the last one for the year, but it looks like it's going to be the penultimate, the second last one. What was your feelings when the final siren sounded on the weekend? Were you feeling as flat and as dumbstruck as everyone else?
Yeah, look, like everyone else, Charlie, I was. I really didn't know how to feel. I really wasn't barracking for any team in particular, but I certainly wanted to walk away there knowing who'd won the grand final. It was just a really unusual feeling. I didn't know what to feel. I was actually not feeling so good on grand final day, so I went home and went straight to bed after the game. But the feeling was, I can't really describe it. It was really unreal.
So were you drinking lemonade during the game?
I was. I think I had 2 lights, mate, during the game, so it certainly wasn't that. But no, I wasn't feeling the best, but I thoroughly enjoyed the game. I mean, it was a brilliant game to watch. The pressure, the St Kilda were just superb. Every time Collingwood needed a goal to maybe seal it, they weren't able to do it. St Kilda were able to hold them up. And obviously every time St Kilda needed to kick that next goal, they did exactly that. And no more evident than in that third quarter, when you just thought if Collingwood kicks the first goal after half time, I thought they were gone. I thought the Saints were gone. St Kilda held them goalless and kicked 3 goals themselves to really set up what was a fantastic last quarter.
But there was no hint of what a good game it was going to be in the first half, because Collingwood jumped clear. St Kilda got to within a goal at quarter time. Collingwood jumped away in the second quarter, and as you say, Travis Cloke, I mean, I don't want to make him the bogey man because there are a lot of other misses, but he missed a couple at the punt road end, which could have made the half-time margin sort of 5 or 6 goals. Instead it was 4. Lenny Hayes laid that great tackle on Dane Swan early in the third quarter, which got him going.
I don't know about not being a good game in the first half. I thought that whole first half was similar to that of the second half, in that you just thought if Collingwood got that next goal, so hence Travis Cloke kicking that goal, you almost thought it was out of St Kilda's reach, but he didn't, and St Kilda were then able to kick one and make it that little bit closer again. So there was always that fine line of it could have gone either way. Hence Collingwood kicking away. I thought it was a really good spectacle. I really did, and there was some magical moments. Obviously, Didak's goal in the first quarter was absolutely brilliant. Thomas's goal, not really conventional one. I don't know how you kick a mongrel punt end over end and it still go 50 metres or 55 metres was quite amazing. But you can't go. Goddard's mark was just unbelievable. I had the hairs on the back of my neck stand up when he took that, and at that time we thought that St Kilda were probably going to.
That put them 6 points up, didn't it?
To win it, and then you look at the other side in the last quarter. Maxwell's mark was just superb, and you know what? He's such a disciplined player. He always goes to punch, and you would have thought that he was just going to, jump up, go the big punch. He didn't. He backed himself. He took a great mark, played on. And I think they may have scored a goal from that.
That was Chris Doer's handball to the Cloak. But just talking about that mark, I mean, he did back himself. If he fumbles it and the ball goes to ground and St Kilda to score a goal, suddenly he's remembered for stuffing it up.
And I think that's what made him, and that's what makes it such a great mark. The fact that he backed himself, and it was a clean grab. He read it beautifully. And then the other Maxwell moment was the one where he chased down Riewold's kick, where it looked like it was going to go through, and he started early. I mean, if he'd sort of hesitated for that split second and not gone when Riewoldt actually kicked the ball, that ball goes over the line. He took off at 100% and got there for that reason, making his mind up straight away with no hesitation. So, there are a lot of great moments in the game, and I suppose the only disappointing thing for all of us is that it was a draw and we didn't get a result.
Well, I want to talk to you about the draw in a second, but just where does Maxwell rank in the stakes of AFL captains? I mean, he's got to be up there as number 1 or 2, doesn't he? He's a hell of a good leader.
Yeah, look, as far as players are concerned, you're probably
not the greatest player.
You're probably not, in the same category of a couple of other players in class and things like that. But having spent a year at Collingwood and know how the players respond to him and what they think of him and the way he goes about his footy. I mean, you certainly can't be critical. He's an excellent captain, and the way he led on the weekend was superb. I mean, he was in Collingwood's best 3 or 4 players, no doubt about that. Not sure who he plays on from week to week, but the big turnaround for St Kilda after half time was when they started to man Maxwell up a little bit. Manned him up, but still he had those two magical moments in that last quarter.
Now, in 1994, Kangaroos and Hawthorn, or North Melbourne as they were then, played in a draw in the qualifying final at Waverley, went into extra time. It was the first AFL final to go into extra time, and the Kangas prevailed. You, by the sounds of it, would like to have seen the same thing happen on Saturday. Yeah,
I think along with 100 and something thousand, 100,012, 16 or whatever it was, would have liked that also, and I think all the players out there probably would have liked that. It's remembering back to 94. I mean, we knew that if it was a draw, we were playing extra time. I suppose the players going into a grand final know that if it's a draw, we're coming back next week. But I think it is time for change, and the logistics behind this week, not necessarily for the AFL, but for everyone involved at the two clubs, is just massive. And there's charity events that have to be cancelled next week. There's all sorts of things that have to be cancelled for the fact that there's a replay. But we'll come back next week and we'll see what happens. I now think that Collingwood. I just think that they'll learn a lot from that particular game. Can St Kilda repeat that great defensive game that they put up on the weekend? I mean, it was a Herculean effort, I thought. They stayed in the game, and they pulled off a draw. And whether they can do that 2 weeks in a row, I'm not so sure. So that's why I think maybe the Pies this week.
Can they play as badly in the first half, St Kilda?
Well, were they playing badly, or were Collingwood just playing so well? I really think that St Kilda just hung in there, and we know that that's what they're great at. It's whether they can do that again this week.
In a more free-flowing game, you'd back Collingwood.
Well, absolutely. I mean, St Kilda aren't going to take Collingwood on in a free-flowing game. I think if you look at the other draws, if you look back to 1977, the draw between the Kangaroos and Collingwood, very, very low-scoring game. And then in the replay, I think it was 25 goals to 21. So really, really high-scoring game in the replay, which is sort of unusual. I don't know whether both coaches just said go out there and have a crack, but I don't think we'll see that this week, by the way. St Kilda are going to play a very similar style. They're going to try and lock it down. 63 inside 50s to 30 something. I mean, it's a huge amount, and that just goes to show how good St Kilda were defensively, and I'm just not so sure they can back that up 2 weeks in a row.
Sam Fisher, I saw in a new light. He was fantastic, wasn't he? In the first half.
Oh, absolutely. Sam was great. Gilbert, the big move. Gilbert going forward was a good move by Ross Lyon. I think he kicked his second goal for the year
good move
on the weekend. So that was a master move.
Let's touch on a few highlights. Brendan Goddard's mark, which we've alluded to. You had Snake Baker, former North Melbourne player in the '78 Grand Final, took a few speckies. Leo Barry. I mean, there's Jezza, of course. I mean, Goddard's must rank up there. Certainly given the context of the game.
Oh, look, and then to go back and put it through. It was a huge mark, best mark I've seen in a grand final. Anyway, I didn't see Jez's way back then.
Better than Leo Barry.
Look, as a classical mark, no doubt, a better mark. It was the one that put them in front, and one that probably cost the draw. It was an unbelievable mark, and he was, Lenny Hayes was absolutely brilliant. Goddard for mine.
Should have won the Norm Smith.
Well, just straight after the game, I said Goddard will win the Norm Smith. So, but then when you look at it, Lenny Hayes was just he was super, Lenny Hayes. So, very, very, very close. I think the actual voting, I think he won sort of quite easily, really. I thought it was a lot closer than that, but.
The Pies best, Dale Thomas, or I like Heath Shaw's game, I must say.
I thought Dale Thomas was pretty good. He did the, he did the hard things. He did the special things. Heath Shaw was good. Swan's second quarter was very good, but he'll probably want to improve on that. But he's still got a bit of the ball. at times burst through and showed that explosive speed that people don't realise he has. I just think that the Pies might be a little bit too good next week.
And got a margin?
I think 20 plus.
Okay, there you go.
Next week.
Wayne Carey, thanks again for coming in, and hopefully we can do it next week if you're not going to Bali or Thailand or something.
If I'm not on holidays, Charlie. I'm like everyone else, but we might have to change some plans.
Good on you, mate. Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie.